right, we're actually live this time. Welcome, my friends, to the podcast. How you doing? What's up?
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Of course, happy to have you. Yeah, so where are you from?
Based out of Las Vegas, fabulous Las Vegas.
Hell yeah. Love Vegas?
Yeah, it's a good life here. Sunny, warm. There's always people coming to town, major events, culture of continual improvement and reinvention, at least on the strip, and some nice nature in the surrounding areas.
Yeah. It's actually more to do outdoors than people think for a desert. A lot of places you can go, a lot of outdoor activities. Where in Vegas do you live relatively, like near Henderson or Summerlin or?
No, I'm as close to the strip as you can get while still being in a house. So I'm
Ah,
like,
so you like the action.
yeah, I like to be right next to the action. So it's peaceful and quiet when I wake up, but in less than 10 minutes, I could be at the Wynn or on the strip, which works for me.
Yeah, I like that too. I like the fast-paced lifestyle, and I like being somewhat near the strip. So every time I come back to Vegas, that's usually the area I'm in, or I'm close to the strip or something. I gotta like stimulate my mind. I gotta see something. I gotta do something. So you never get bored there.
No, it's if you're bored here, it's kind of hard to do.
Exactly. Have you always been in Vegas, or you mentioned off the podcast that you've lived in California, correct? Or where'd you come from?
Originally from San Francisco Bay Area, but I've lived in Vegas about 6 years now. And in between then, I've lived in Europe. I've spent time in China and Asia, lived in Nashville for a few years. But Vegas is where I call home now for at least the last 6 years. And no plans to leave. It's pretty good here.
Wow, all over the place, huh? Why plant roots in Vegas? What made you want to stay there versus somewhere else?
I think overall, I mean, I've come to Vegas on and off at many points in my life, but then thinking about what would I actually want to live there? Well, every week somebody's in town. So, like people I know from other parts of the world kind of circulate through Vegas, which is really fun. Cost of living is low. So, I can buy and own a house that you couldn't get a closet this size in San Francisco for the same price.
Hmm.
And there's no state income tax. I personally like the heat and sun. I'd rather it be sunny 320 days a year than like snow ever.
Sure.
So a combination of those things.
Yeah, the housing market in Vegas is very interesting. It's like if you look at stuff like on the upper spectrum, it gets like really ridiculously expensive. But if you look at, normal housing for like most of us, you can find some really good deals. Get a big 3, 4 bedroom house, get a pool, in a good neighborhood, and it's not ridiculous.
Yeah, for people that aren't up on all that, like for even for $2,000 a month, you could live in a spacious 4 bedroom home with a pool, a good location. And just speaking from experience, 2000 a month in the San Francisco Bay Area, you could like barely get a crummy 1 bedroom in like a bad part of town. So that difference is so apparent, especially coming from the Bay Area, but it's generally still a low cost of living and low real estate value market compared to other major cities in the US.
Yeah, I think that's another reason you see a huge migration right now from people from California into places like Las Vegas. Housing market has a lot to do with it. It's ridiculously expensive in Los Angeles and San Diego and a lot of the inner cities, and it just doesn't make sense. Like you get something really small for some ridiculous price, but you go to Vegas or move over to Texas, you go up to like Central Oregon or you go out to Idaho, and you get something massive for like a fraction of that price, and it's like a no-brainer. Why would you just want to stay in California and pay the taxes?
That is a good question.
Yeah, it is a really good question. Other than, where you've lived and stuff like that, tell me a little bit more about yourself and what you've done, before, PowerFan. Like, did you have a background in crypto before that, or was there a point in time where you liked crypto and decided to jump into it? Just tell me more about yourself.
Sure. For the last 7 years, I've run a book publishing company. So we've worked with entrepreneurs, health and wellness experts, some people in self-help and personal development. We've published 35 to 40 books a year in those genres. And so that's part of my business background, in this most recent decade. And with crypto in 2017, that was when I really tuned into it. There was, of course, that bull market, and everything was enjoying a run up then. So I was getting involved in ICOs. I was doing a few like pre-ICO placements where possible, formed a few like syndicates with friends to get in on projects, but didn't go like all the way in. I could say that. Like I got enough of a taste where I made some money and tuned into some projects, learned how the industry worked, then was not super involved for the year and a half or two leading up to like end of last year, end of 2020, when some of my close friends started to tune me into NFTs and what was happening in that space. And we started to get a consensus that NFTs would be one of the dominant narratives now in 2021. And if you look at the charts, that did end up being pretty prescient. From November, December, you could pick up projects like Rarible, TVK, Sandbox, Mana, others, Engine, for a fraction of what they're trading at now. And of course, aside from just those projects that were first in the market, like now it's become it's almost a pop culture thing to have NFTs. You got NBA Top Shot, other big name, big billing projects. Vegas Golden Knights have an NFT launch. So I see there's definitely this narrative is expanding, and that's exciting for me and for what we're doing at PowerFan. But just in general, I think we're still at the very tip of the iceberg. Like total NFT sales were around 350 million last year, which was a massive increase over 2019. But that number of 2020 was eclipsed, I think, in the first few months of 2021. And so 350 million, sure, that's a lot of money if you just look at it in isolation. But as a percentage of the overall content industry, the art industry, the video game industry, the industries that NFTs are disrupting and being integrated in, there's so much room to run. And so I think that's, good news for everybody that thinks, oh, did I miss out on the NFT run? I kind of think we're still in the early innings of it.
Yeah, NFTs are interesting. They've been around for such a long time already, for a few years. But they really just started getting traction for whatever reason in the last year, especially this spring. And it just felt like everyone and their brother just started launching NFTs, and you see all these celebrities, and you see it in pop culture, and you see it within sports, and it just feels like everyone's jumped into it. And yeah, this massive run up in the spring. And I feel like it's all coming full circle again. And it's going to happen again. It's just, I don't know. It's an interesting way to use blockchain and tokens and apply it to the real world.
Yeah, my perspective on NFTs and like the sort of use case that we're focused on, I see a lot going on with art and with video games, and there's great applications in both of those spaces. But like I mentioned, coming from a book publishing background, and I was even a musician earlier in life, coming at it from the creator and the author and artistic standpoint, we want to be the leader in value-added NFTs. So you could get a special edition of a book that unlocks a training course, perhaps even a one-on-one call or an experience with the author, or anything else that the creativity can come up with. Similarly, for music and musicians, there's a bunch of great examples, like a Vegas local Blau, an electronic music artist, did an NFT launch for his new album, and whoever won, bid the most and won, got a co-production credit with him on a song. So like, just think of, if you wanted to break into electronic music, here's your chance to get a co-production credit with a world famous artist. You go through that process, then you can say, hey, I just dropped a track with Blau. Do you want to collab on the next thing? So I see NFTs are becoming a springboard into the industry for people that want to get involved directly with a creator of some kind. And it starts to disintermediate record labels, publishing companies, even like myself. I know we're kind of eating our own lunch the more we get into this space. But I also think that's the direction that we're going. So I could definitely talk more about that, but that's a little taste of like where we want to play is in value added, content rich experiences that are delivered through NFTs with well-known authors, creators, artists, and musicians.
Yeah, when you talk about content, experiences, content-rich experiences, what do you mean exactly, or how does that play into PowerFan?
Sure. So this weekend, we've got a big NFT launch with Manny Pacquiao and his longtime friend, the painter of champions, Jun Aquino. And so to make this, to illustrate what we're doing, is like we're doing an auction for the original painting for the fight. So originally it was going to be Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. Long story short, he had an injury, had to back out. Pacquiao's fighting somebody else now. But we're going to auction the original painting of the fight that didn't happen, signed by Manny Pacquiao, that comes with a behind the scenes video from the painter showing Manny signing it and some other cool bonuses. So that's like content rich or value added. Mm-hmm. Instead of just buying a digital piece of art and now you own that as a digital asset, whoever wins will get a physical painting, a personalized video, and that's kind of an example of how we can make it a more engaging experience for people through NFTs.
Got it. Are you attaching that to an NFT and doing it that way, or
exactly?
Okay.
Yeah. So there's the main auction is for whoever wins the main auction gets the painting, the signed painting, everything we just described. But then there's 4 other NFTs that we're doing a limited series of 10 for an individual painting of Manny Pacquiao. It comes with a signed print, and then a series of 15, 20, and 25 for 3 other world champion boxers. So we're looking at it as a launch of like the Portrait of Champions collection. And the main prize is the signed painting for the fight and what we just mentioned. But then people can get either just a digital version or a signed print that's connected with an NFT as well.
Got it. Are you guys mostly sports focused, or do you touch other different industries as well and try and bring them into your platform?
Definitely cross industry. The launches we have coming up in the next 2 months include New York Times bestselling author, somebody who's really big in the author training space and helps self-published authors sell books in the fiction space. Possibly something with LeBron James. So that would be another sports one. So the sports kind of like landed on our lap, and we definitely are running with it because there's some great opportunities, while focusing on authors and content creators, people like podcasters or YouTubers that have an audience and can engage them or monetize it in different ways. That's where we like to play. And that's where I enjoy those kind of conversations with creators the most.
Yeah, crypto and sports has been a really good combination as of lately. I think the #1 overall draft pick for the NBA just signed a partnership deal to get his signing bonus all in like Bitcoin or crypto or something like that.
That's right. I think we'll
crazy.
see more of that. I think it helps the industry overall. And I for sure think we'll see more NFTs, whether it's coming from the organization side, like NBA, or I think hopefully what we'll see are individual players, individual artists, individual creators learn just enough of the technology side to be able to capture more value directly with their work. I think where we're going and where we want to help, like you may be able to see down there, is creators and fans, you have the power now. Like we want to empower them as opposed to sign like agency deals or record deals or publishing deals. And so it's a way that you can create and sell using the PowerFan platform and capture that value instantly, which is pretty exciting. If you think about even 10, 20 years ago, what it looked like in this space.
Yeah, like if someone wanted to use your guys' platform, what's the process to do that and set it up? Is it as easy as using something like OpenSea, where you can do it all yourself, or do you need to connect with someone to do it, or do you have to have a certain kind of wallet, or what's the hurdle to get over?
Yeah, for anyone that's familiar with the NFT minting process, PowerFan.io, the platform's available. It's free to use. We only charge a 2.5% transaction fee. So if you want to go in, you can start minting and selling your own NFTs. You can have an account, a collection, set up royalties to flow back to yourself on subsequent sales, do a mint when sold. So it's actually no cost to start setting up a collection and having them available for sale. And you can incentivize affiliates. So you can build into your NFT minting an incentive if somebody else drives the sale, that it'll automatically compensate them. So all that's available and free. Then what we do that's hands-on, we call the white glove service, where like with this Manny Pacquiao and Jun Aquino launch, we're working with them directly and with their team to set it all up, get a dedicated page, craft the offer. And in that case, we do a 70-30 split in the creator's favor. And so people that are familiar with the content industry, 70-30 is the same as self-publishing a book, except a lot more support from us as a team. And then we entertain if people want like just a one-off consulting project or something to integrate digital assets or NFTs into their business model, we can look at those one-off. But really the platform's there and we want to encourage people to use it and succeed. And then we're looking at who we want to partner with and do a big launch with and line those up so that every 1 to 2 weeks we've got some, exciting launches coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very exciting. So are these Ethereum NFTs or on a different blockchain, or is there an option to use a different blockchain?
Great question. Yeah. So we're PowerFan, and coming soon, our PFan token are built on the Ethereum blockchain. So the NFTs, even if they're mint when they're sold, become a Ethereum blockchain powered NFT. In the not too distant future, we'll be on other platforms as well. I'm particularly excited for Cardano to get their smart contracts live and to be able to leverage them. But we're open to any other blockchains, and think of ourselves more as the minting engine and creator support. We're not married to one particular blockchain.
What makes you excited about the Cardano NFTs that are coming out, or their smart contracts?
I love what Cardano's done with their community. Even for, if you think like the ADA token doesn't have a massive amount of utility other than store of value and a way to vote. But I love what they've done with like, what do they call it? They have a fund. They're on like Fund 6 now, where people can submit applications for dApps, for technical upgrades, for other projects. And the community, I think they do really well, comes together, votes, and supports projects. So they've got a great like self-nurturing ecosystem and now are fully decentralized. So I think those are two advantages. Plus their transaction time is, far superior than Ethereum in terms of gas fees and times. So I think that'll be exciting to see that go live, and also closely following Polkadot and what they're doing with great interest too.
Yeah, Polkadot's another great project. Mentioning gas fees, do you guys experience any issues with minting NFTs with gas fees? Because I know traditionally when I do it like on OpenSea or something like that, and I've done hundreds, it sucks when there's like $100 gas fee and you're selling something for $100 and you have to pay the gas fee just to make $100 and you practically make zero. It's such a headache to deal with and really kind of stifles creativity.
That actually tunes us into like where I see exactly as we are in the development of this space. NFTs, when you mint them, it only really makes sense at a few $100s into the thousands of dollars or more as the asset price for what's being offered, or for whatever that actual offer is. Otherwise, you can eat up most or all of your sale price in gas fees. Of course, that's not good for anybody. So like, for us on this Manny Pacquiao launch, our entry-level NFT is $250, goes up to $2,500 for fixed price, and then bidding can go to any number. But to your point, if it was under $250, then arguably you eat up most of the sale price and the gas fee. Now that I think fortunately is going to change to all of our benefit as more blockchains come online, as there's cross-chain compatibility, gas fees will go down, but that's kind of where we're at. So it doesn't make sense to sell a book, like a $20 book as an NFT for $20 equivalent. Wouldn't make sense for this same reason, but I think we'll get there.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, 'cause it'd be great to be able to sell a book as an NFT. That opens up so many different ideas and market avenues. But
Can I
yeah,
tell
the
you where
gas
we're
fees are
going?
just killer.
Can I tell you where we're going with this in
Yeah,
the
tell
coming
me.
months? Something we're really excited about is what we call the Power Player, which will be the equivalent of like Kindle Unlimited meets Spotify. So you can read any number of books, put them onto your bookshelf, all for free or for just holding a certain amount of PFAN or staking. So if people stake their crypto, they can earn while they learn, access the whole library of content, and we'll be tracking consumption and compensating creators accordingly. So if 1,000 people are reading somebody's book, we're tracking all of that. And even though it's not an NFT sale, we'll take part of the transaction fee pool and the staking proceeds pool and attribute that pro rata to creators. So over time in the coming months, we want to create a new experience that incentivizes people to learn and consume and share more content, as opposed to paying for it and then paying even more to access exclusive content.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. You create like a virtual NFT bookshelf, I guess you could put it that way. Give you access when you buy an NFT to all kinds of content and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. I didn't think of that.
That's coming soon.
Yeah,
And
when
then if
can we
you're
expect
reading,
that? Maybe
like,
this year or next year?
we're hoping for Q4, so by the end of this year to have the first version of Power Player live. And through my book publishing connections and business, we'll have at least thousands of books available on launch, possibly into the tens of thousands. So, so it will be a pretty valuable like library and reading and content experience out of the gate when we go live.
Got it. That sounds really cool. What do you think separates you guys primarily from some of the bigger NFT marketplaces like OpenSea or Rarible or something like that? Or what makes you guys stand out?
Sure. So like Rarible, I love what they're doing, and I like how they incentivize people with their Rari token for creating and consuming on the platform. That's something that we'll model in our own way. I think they're mostly focused on art and on digital art applications. So while we will do some art, and we are more focusing on like authors, content creators, speakers, people that have an audience and deliver content to that audience. So that's one differentiator, plus the power player that we're building out. We hope that that becomes like a new kind of standard for a content consumption experience that people can earn and has incentives to share and consume. Relative to OpenSea, I mean, they're like the big marketplace at the moment, and that's great. Like I just read that OpenSea transaction volume like 10x over the last
Hmm.
few months. So that's just nuts, right?
They did an
Um,
insane amount of revenue in Q2. It's crazy.
and more, I think the most important of those stats is like there's more volume, there's more overall people buying and selling and active in this space, which is great. So if somebody mints a NFT on PowerFan, you can sell it on OpenSea, no problem. You can take that anywhere. But if you do mint when sold, then it just exists on the PowerFan platform until it's actually minted during a transaction. So I would say relative to OpenSea, we're more of like a hands-on launch support team for doing launches while still providing the marketplace and like ease of use application.
Got it. So if someone has like a bunch of NFTs in their Ethereum wallet, like I have MetaMask, for example, and I definitely use OpenSea for a lot of stuff, and I have a bunch of NFTs there. Could I move those to PowerFan if I wanted to sell them there? Like, is there that compatibility?
You certainly could, and we could help with that if you want. Um, Candidly, our marketplace is not as robust as like OpenSea,
Hmm.
because we're still like going live
Sure.
presently. But yeah, something like that would absolutely work. You could include your current NFTs into a PowerFan profile or collection. Um, and then we're going to make available things like featured spots on the homepage or featured places within the marketplace and creator view. So that'll be coming
Yeah.
soon too.
Yeah, I think that's key because there's so many people that have NFTs that are existing already and they have massive portfolios of them. It'd be cool if you could take it to a different platform like PowerFan, for example, and be able to do stuff with it there, sell it, auction it off. I don't know, maybe there's a use for it.
Yeah, well, like I have so much experience with books. It's always a book launch, meaning like everybody's focused on the big launch day and the launch week. So I bring some of that experience to if people have a collection of NFTs, if we can create an event around it and have it be like a limited time opportunity to get the certain number of NFTs, and you get these special bonuses when you get them within this period of time, then we can take something that's already been created or maybe has existed in disparate places and make an event out of it and then promote that event. And I think that's a good recipe for driving a lot of sales traction in a compressed amount of time. Whereas like having your work as a creator in multiple marketplaces is generally smart, to try and drive more sales. But I think making an event and like having a very clear call to action and promotional strategy is where you start to see the bigger numbers.
Yeah, that's kind of what's missing in NFTs, huh? Like you can definitely, promote ahead of time and do auctions and stuff like that, but there's no like big launch event for like an NFT. That would be
That's
a
where
cool
we're trying
addition.
to bring a little bit of a launch sizzle to the marketplace. Um,
Yeah, that creates a little bit more anxiousness and people wanting to, follow stuff and keep up with new things coming out, promotions and things like that. Yeah, that'd be a great addition.
yeah. And where I also see is like, NFTs can be a complement to a launch. So if someone's been planning a big book launch for a while,
Hmm.
we can bolt on an NFT strategy and ride that launch marketing awareness, similar to what we're doing with like the Manny Pacquiao fight. There's increased awareness leading up to the fight. Let's position an NFT offer and launch to ride that. So that's some of the ways I think about like where do you slide in on marketing, and sort of free traffic that's already taking place, and then how do you position an offer there that's appealing, and time sensitive.
What about gaming? Have you thought about getting into that arena as well and doing stuff for like virtual worlds or like in gaming type items or things like that?
Yeah, we have one of our partners, actually is a company called OnBuff out of Korea, and they
Hmm.
own the rights to like Street Fighter, SNK game characters. And so we're working with them to do like an NFT launch of some popular video game characters. Still buttoning down what the details of that will be. But in terms of like integrating our NFTs into games or other virtual environments, I think that's where this is all heading. Within a year's time, to have a digital or virtual representation of your assets, both digital and physical, that can be transported in different environments. That to me is super cool and opens up a whole new world of opportunity.
Yeah, and that kind of plays into my last question here. It's what do you see the future of NFTs like becoming? Obviously, right now they're very simple and they have simple use cases and they're really popular, but I feel like they can do far more and have far more versatility and represent more. Do you have like a vision of what that might look like in the future?
Yeah, I have at least an inkling because I think it'll blow my mind what happens too. But for example, I collect rare first edition books. So if you get a first edition book, you usually get a certificate of authenticity that says this is number 412 out of 500.
Hmm.
So that's what an NFT is. It's a digital certificate of authenticity that lets you track the transactions across everybody that's been involved with it. Um, so I think where we'll go is like if you buy a luxury object in the future, if you buy a Lamborghini, it'll come with an accompanying NFT that both gives you a virtual presence or gives you something to display, that also anybody that sees it knows you actually own the actual asset. So whether that's a car or a watch or other things like a piece of art that we're selling, right? The NFT will become it already kind of is, but more so the digital representation of something physical or valuable. Um, so maybe that's not the most futuristic view of where we can go with this, but I
It
think
helps paint a
that will be
picture though.
elaborated like so much more.
Yeah, it'd be cool to like buy a Ferrari in the real world and have an NFT attached to it, and then be able to take that into like GTA and then drop in your brand new Ferrari and instantly be able to use it. All kinds of possibilities and stuff on top of, authenticity and proof of ownership and provenance and stuff like that. So many different cool angles.
It's so true. I mean, we could do a whole episode on that, but like think of a watchmaker, right? They're already engineering Marvel, but now it requires learning the competency to create a cool digital NFT equivalent. Um, and when brands get that right, and they can take their expertise and engineering and creativity to the NFT space, I think that'll be the explosion. Whereas I mentioned earlier, I think we're at the tip of the iceberg. But when we get like major brands and major businesses leaning into NFTs as a technology and platform, then that's going to be the big one, so to speak.
Yeah, it's an exciting space. It's one of my favorite parts about crypto is NFTs right now because it's different than typical tokens and other things in finance and whatnot. It has so many applications. Yeah. So with PowerFan, do you guys have like a community? Do you have like a Telegram or a Discord where people come together and chat?
Yeah, we've got an Instagram at PowerFan.io. We do have a Telegram group that is PowerFan Inc. You should be able to find it. And we have a blog where we actively publish like educational content and how to, all the way through to like launch strategies. And I think one of our best means will be just educating people on what they can do with NFTs and giving them the platform to do it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it out myself. I love NFTs so much, so it'll be a lot of fun and excited
Well,
about what you
we're
guys are
going to hook
doing.
you up. We're going to give you an airdrop. And if you want to do any kind of a launch, we're happy to support.
Actually, what I've wanted to do for a while, which I was thinking about doing on OpenSea, but I didn't know how to quite do it, is I want to do one for the podcast where I do an NFT for every episode.
That'd be hot.
That would be cool. Maybe we can chat about that.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here for the episode. A lot of good content, great conversation. Thank you for coming on and chatting about NFTs and PowerFan and everything you guys are doing.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. And thanks everyone for listening.
Of course, of course. Stay on for just a second. Otherwise, we'll do another episode in the future for sure.